Detroit just got a green light that turns a midseason wish into a real possibility, and it hits right at the heart of Kelvin Sheppard's defense. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. I'm coming in hot because the clock is already ticking, and the window is opening at exactly the spot. This team can flip a good unit into a playoff sledgehammer. I'm going to connect the dots you care about. Why a certain all-pro linebacker status suddenly matters to Detroit. How his contract structure makes a move realistic. What the on-field fit looks like next to Jack Campbell. And what a fair price would be without blowing up Brad Holmes' plan. Stick with me, because the reveal lands when the numbers, timing, and scheme all line up on one name. The lead tells you what to do when two lines move at once, when a contender eases a weakness and a struggling team faces hard choices. That's where you pounce. Detroit's offense is humming, the front is violent. The spine is sturdier than last year, and yet the one thing this defense still craves in big games is a true accelerator at the second level, someone who erases outside zone before it bends, the edge, who turns 3rd and 4 into 4th and 8, who can skate sideline to sideline and still trigger like a safety. That piece transforms the whole picture. It changes how offenses have to motion against us. It changes how Hutchinson and DJ Reader see their one-on-ones. And it lets Sheppard call pressure with less fear of the check down. You give this defense that piece, and it stops playing with the parking brake on dot. Take a breath and look at the timing. Late October turns the phone lines electric. A veteran on a soon-to-void deal becomes a chess piece. A team stuck in neutral starts listening. A linebacker with all-pro tape, top-tier play speed, and downhill temperament gets healthy enough to clear the first hurdle. That's when disciplined teams act. I'm talking about an acquisition that doesn't mortgage a top 100 pick, doesn't force you to rip up 2026 cap planning, and still gives you January leverage against Shanahan's shift and Lafleur's misdirection. And because the calendar matters, the proration on his 2025 base salary actually makes him cheaper with every week that passes, which is exactly how Holmes likes to buy. Value plus upside. Short runway to impact, long runway to flexibility. If you ride with this channel, you know I don't ask for favors, I ask for momentum. Tap in with a like and hit subscribe so you don't miss the late week updates. I'm dropping rapid breakdowns as the phone lines heat up, and I want you there when this thing moves from talk to paperwork. Let's push this together. Scheme, then money, then price. That's the order. Scheme first. Kelvin Sheppard built this defense around clarity and speed. The base lives in an aggressive 4-2-5 world with Jack Campbell as the communication hub, Derek Barnes as the downhill hammer, Alex Anzalone as the adult in the room who can sort the junk. What's missing in certain matchups is the instant play resolution on the perimeter, the guy who can beat a climbing guard to the spot, fold a bubble before it breathes, carry a tight end up the seam long enough for Branch to rotate, and green dog when the back stays in. Drop that profile into our nickel and watch third down shrink. Blitz rate can jump without bleeding explosives because that overhang backer cleans up the mess behind the stunt games. Money next. This target sits on a contract that effectively expires after the season, with void years doing the cap gymnastics on the other side. Translation for us. It's a rental with a re-sign option, not a long-term anchor you're forced to absorb. You acquire him now. You take on only the paraded remainder of this year's base. And you keep all doors open, extend if the fit is perfect. Let the deal void if the number isn't right. Or even tag him trade gymnastics if he detonates down the stretch. Holmes has built everything around optionality. This is exactly that dot price last, because it's a short control asset returning from a shoulder issue. The market won't be outrageous unless multiple contenders jump in at once. The fair structure looks like a conditional day 3 pick that escalates with snap count and team results. Think of it like this. A fifth that climbs to a fourth if he hits 60 to 70% defensive snaps and Detroit wins a playoff game, with maybe a late sweetener swap of late rounders to grease the wheels. That setup protects Detroit if the health window closes, rewards the seller if the player delivers. and sets the floor at a number every contender can live with. You're paying for 8 to 10 high-leverage games and a postseason runway, not for a 4-year prime. Now the football. Picture 3rd and 5 against a motion-heavy offense. Shepard spins the front. Reader slams the A-gap. Hutchinson spikes inside. Al-Quaiden Mohammed loops. Branch creeps down. The back stays in. That's the trigger. Your new linebacker hugs the back, flips his hips with the crossers, and when the quarterback hitches for the checkdown, he arrives like a car crash. Ball out, 4th down. Same player, 1st and 10 versus outside zone, he wins the race to the landmark. Wrong arms the tight end, forces the cutback into help. Against Boot, he's the one who takes away the throwback to the over route long enough for the rush to land. Football is geometry at speed. He tilts the angles in Detroit's favor. This is where the calendar and the rehab window collide in a good way. The 3-week practice designation lets a team see movement, strike timing, and contact tolerance before committing assets. That protects you from the nightmare scenario of trading for a name and waiting a month. And if he's ready, the ramp is clean. A 15-snap package in Week 9, a 30-snap split in Week 10, and by Thanksgiving you're rolling base and nickel without tells. He knows New York's system under a similar tree. The terminology won't be foreign. You're not onboarding a rookie. You're onboarding urgency. Let's talk fit with the room. Jack Campbell's growth into a top communicator lets you unleash a second hunter without breaking the call sheet. Barnes still gets to be a tone setter. Anzalone becomes the utility knife you deploy where the matchup needs brains, and the new addition becomes your eraser. In 2 minutes, he's your spy plus pressure piece. In red zone, he keys low-hat triggers and kills sprint outs. On special downs, he's the contained violence that lets Shepard bluff one coverage and play another. That versatility is exactly what Detroit lacked when elite offenses spread the field and forced us into soft spots underneath. Risk? It's real. Shoulders don't always cooperate. Midseason installs can bite you at communication bus. A player who thrives on aggression can rack up flags if he's trying to prove something on rep 1. But the downside is capped by the price. And the upside is a January defense that wins on scheduled downs and suffocates 2-minute drives without retreating into shells. You want to beat San Francisco and Philadelphia? Make them pay for being predictable on early downs. You want to bully Dallas? Hit their flats before they breathe. You want to finish Green Bay? Smother the checkdowns and force outside the numbers hero balls. That's what this body type buys you. So here's the reveal you waited for. This entire path narrows to one name because the tape, the timeline, and the accounting all say the same thing. Quincy Williams is the Lions' target that makes the most sense right now. All-Pro pedigree. Elite play speed. Violent angles. Contract that keeps your options open. Health window turning the light green. Seller that needs picks more than pride. If Holmes wants to weaponize Shepard's unit for December and beyond, the call to New York should already be placed. This is the move that adds 10 yards of closing burst to a defense already built to punch first. Before I land the plane, I want your gut on this. Would you send a conditional 5th that can become a 4th if Quincy hits the snap threshold and Detroit wins a playoff game? Drop your trade package in the comments and tell me how you deploy him next to Campbell on 3rd down. I'm reading everything, and I'll feature the smartest packages in the next update. My bottom line read: make the deal if the medicals check and the price. Sits in the day 3 range with escalators. The cap hit is manageable on a prorated base. The extension decision can wait until after the run, and the on-field impact in Shepard's nickel is immediate. Detroit's window is open, and the most Lions-like move you can make is the one that keeps you flexible while making you faster where it matters most. Stay with me for the latest. Subscribe, like, and keep those alerts on, because if this accelerates, you'll get the breakdown here first, with the film, the cap math, and the unpacked scheme to go with it.